I think your logo worked out really well on um, when I'm looking at it here in this presentation, it looks really blurry. I just want to make sure you're knowing how to use InDesign. You should be able to bring your Illustrator AI files directly into InDesign.
I exported it as a PNG.
Yeah, see, and InDesign doesn't work well with PNGs. All you have
Okay.
to do is just bring the Illustrator. It's easier than you're taking an extra step you don't need to take.
Okay.
I love your logo. Your use of color is really good. You took your assigned color and added a cohort of other colors that work really well with it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, when you get done, you're going to spec all that out. You've added these vegetation leaves. I like this.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I wanted to like a pattern or something like that.
yeah, that's nice. Yeah, it works really well here, I think. I don't think you need this bar.
I wanted to add there the info because I saw in the video that we needed to add the
Yeah,
info that the business card has.
you could have the bar. The thing is, it doesn't relate to anything else. So if the bar, you could actually take one of these leaves and sort of turn
Okay.
that into the bar.
Okay.
That makes sense. It would tie in a little better. But yeah, this is, so the idea is when you look at all this, it sort of starts to come together as a look. Do you feel like that's happening?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I had a lot of issues with choosing the color palette. I didn't know what to do. But I think I like this, how it
You,
came out.
you worked it out really well. The only thing, and this is just sort of a suggestion, you could add some sort of very light color to the paper and everything, so that all has, instead of just white paper. But
Okay.
it looks good as it is. But I'm just saying that would be an experiment I would try since you're in good shape.
Does it have to be, do I have to grab the color from the color palette or can I
No,
experiment?
you
Okay.
can create your own new color. You could take one of these colors and desaturate it a whole bunch so that it's like almost closer to white. And just,
Okay.
I'm just saying as an experiment, you could see, you could leave it as it is and you'd be in good shape. You're fine.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
All right. So I'm going to just pause the recording. All right, Victoria, I gave you some feedback on these. I was trying to steer you to this one. If you simplify it a little bit. Also, when you work in black and white, it should be black and white. Don't change opacities on stuff. So I hope that's helpful. I give you some video feedback. If you had trouble with that, let me know. Darian, I am assuming you're doing Monkey Tree. This looks like you've traced over some art. I hope you created this art yourself. You need a logo type. It needs to have fills in it instead of just line work. And you're kind of behind the eight ball now. You got to get some color and color palettes and working on your identity package. All right, Samantha, this looks really good. This secondary element you've created works well. Your logo with your logo. The color palette overall works well. And it's designed really neatly. So I don't have too much to say. It looks good. Keep going. You've got your colors specced out too. I'm not sure where this black stroke is coming from. If you placed it on top of the picture, these are like picture frames in here. You just fill them with a color. So, and then Nathalie, Babylon. All right. So I think that if this stroke, this was like a continuous line type thing that had a little more weight to it, I wouldn't double it up. And the vine is okay. It could maybe be a little bigger or go further up. Um, you've experimented somewhat with the colors. I'm not sure if you got stuck on right and left. These are just further down in the color guide. right and left complementary. So I don't like the doubling it up. I think that hurts your logo rather than helps. Looks like you're doing an opacity thing too. So you've got a start on a color palette. This is a good secondary element, but I would make this more monochromatic. It's a little too heavy right now, especially considering that your logo is very ephemeral. Babylon, big. Soap could be smaller. So you've sort of got some of the elements here. But right now you see, because these are so heavy and full of color, your logo vanishes. I would make these more simple, sort of almost monochromatic things, and then give your logo a little more weight so that it stands out. And then think about your color of your paper. I don't think you want stone. It could be, you want sort of a group of nice warm colors. So when you look at your palette, you've got super powerful colors. You want to have some pastel, softer, warm. I don't know that this color works well with the orange. It's complementary. It really kind of vibrates. I mean, maybe if you did a very light tint of it, it could work. So you've got potential going there. You just got to sort of pull it together. All right. Next up is Ainsley. Ainsley, this logo is okay. You don't have a logo type. And I wouldn't do monochromatic for everything. I would make the bull's head in a different color. The red flame could stand out. Eliminate all the black strokes around everything, and just work in color and give yourself some variety in value, light and dark, so that you have the bull's head stands out from the flame a little better. It looks like you've done that correctly. All right, Marissa, I love this image. This is great for mint soap. This outside containing shape is completely unnecessary. It's really cool shape. I like it. In some ways, it works, but when it comes to logos, you want to keep it fairly simple. So I would try it without that containing shape, and I would get your mint as your brand, soap as your category, give the type some hierarchy, and probably not black. Do the dark green instead. But you're off to a good start. All right, Jason, let's see. So this as a logo is not really functioning. Look at the week 2 assignment I showed you, like use the Full Sail logo as the template. Monkey Tree is the brand, licorice is the category. This tree shape, I guess, is just sort of a big blob of nothingness. I wouldn't even use that. You've got just the face of a monkey, which isn't a great concept, but if that's what you're going with, you want to execute it as well as possible and make sure it's working. Yeah, and that looks like it's complete. So focus on getting your logo to, you don't have to use tetrad. You can use any colors you want. The guide is just there to get you started. So, so consider that. Austin, Brittle Brick. So this character is a fun idea. The way it's executed feels pretty clunky. Think about using strokes differently. This is sort of like the default stroke around everything. So maybe you don't need strokes, or maybe they're thicker, more articulated strokes. This sort of bow tie shape in the background, it just seems extraneous and not really helping you. If there was some sort of containing shape with the moose, I would make it a little tighter to the moose. Hey, Sabrina. All right, so Austin, there's your logo. What's the name of the company? There's nothing there. your logo should have logo type, should have the name of the company in it. And then you want to think about what are the secondary elements, the things that you're going to put in here that give texture, color, border, something to add to your identity package. All right, Casey, I think this came out well. It's a little detailed for a logo, but great use of type, good use of color. I think overall this works really well. I guess these are coffee beans. I'm not super fan of this being so, it looks like low opacity. Uh, it, consider maybe making this like a monochromatic with a color that is close to white and see how that works. Or it could even be, you know, like brown on brown or something like that. Because right now you've got some great stuff going on, and I feel like this is kind of a different visual language a bit. This double border feels a bit arbitrary, um, but the shapes are okay. Uh, hey, Victoria. I don't know if you saw, I gave you video feedback on this on Tuesday on Osiris Coffee. Did you see that? Victoria, are you there?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, okay. No, I understand. I got the feedback on that. That's why I changed my thing.
Okay. So I think this jackal could work. I just would, some of these little fussy details in here, I would like eliminate, just try to simplify it. And when you link about your logo, you like put it in the worst case scenario, like on a business card, really small. Does it read? Can you see everything? Does it work? I don't
Oh
think,
no, mine's under Darien. Like my new one's under Darien.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to get rid of that. Or all the way down. I don't know. Where is it? I just posted it.
hold on, let me refresh here.
There it is. There it is. Okay.
All right, better. Uh,
Yes.
type is good.
Yes.
So again, I still think you have like too many sort of tiny details in here.
Okay.
Uh, this is intended to be the teeth of the
Yes.
jackal.
Yes.
So give him like 3 or 4 teeth, you know, like don't, you know how Mickey only has 3 fingers or whatever, 4 fingers?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, simplify that. And these tiny strokes that outline everything, I would either eliminate them or make them really thick, kind of sort of stickerize it. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
Uh, all right, so in color, it's looking good. But again, everywhere it's black, it could be a color. You could get a dark brown in there or something. You're
Okay.
using, so you're using your sign color that's violet, which is good. Um, maybe this pink tongue is a little more vibrant red.
Okay.
Just think about your brand. It's like very like punchy, kind of like full of caffeine. So you could be a little punchier with some of the colors there.
Okay.
Um, and your type could also be in a color. So uh, this is pretty close to black here.
It's navy blue. It's very
Yeah,
I know.
I see that, but it's sort of functioning like black, and this is like a dark. Yeah, this is black. You don't want to no black in your color palette.
Okay.
All right, so ditch the black and think about what else you do. Now your coffee, so maybe it's dark coffee color. You know, it sort of functions like black in a certain way because it's that dark value, but it's once you come off of black, it gives it a whole much more personality.
Okay,
So
so maybe like a brown.
yeah, dark brown. All right, so now you're thinking about secondary elements. You've added a sort of texture stone. Is that what that is?
Well, it's weird because that it's paper,
Oh,
and I
okay.
use Photoshop to put the color on top of it, played around with the blend modes and made that. Unfortunately, that gradient you see, that white is supposed to be the purple.
So
It
it's
took
supposed to
it
go
away
from purple to
instead.
green.
Yeah, it took it away for some reason.
Okay. So in general, what I see here, you've got a lot of different shapes sort of overlapping. Uh,
Yes.
I would think about how to simplify that a little bit. Now, this this paper texture, you're calling it paper, but it looks like cracks in a stone or something, which I think is a
Okay.
cool idea for this.
Okay.
So think of it this way. Okay, this is Egyptian, ancient Egypt. So maybe your business card background is like the wall of the pyramids or something, like it's a stone texture. And
Okay.
then
So,
you don't have to go too crazy with the gradient. So you've got a gradient, a photo image, a color, like sort of, it's like you want to think about what's my concept, and then everything is in service of the concept. Right now, it feels like you're decorating, like you created this eye. It's using that von Glitzka pattern from Illustrator, and it doesn't really relate to anything else. So I think you've got a good logo going with some of these small changes. Um, just think of how it would look engraved in stone, maybe,
okay.
and just keep your cards kind of simple. Same thing here. So even this texture is nice, but um, with a gradient, and this is a different texture, and try to get your letter to look like a real letter. This is just a huge block of text. See, when it gets simpler, it's even better just here, right?
Mm,
Um, so try to, I guess what I'm saying is focus on what you want it to look like. Right now, I feel like you're trying a bunch of different things to see if anything sticks. Is that correct?
okay. So are you saying that I should like keep the paper look?
I think the paper look is fine, but I would do it one color, monochromatic, all the way to the edge, and just have your logo in front of that.
Okay.
Um, you could even do sort of a monochromatic or linear version of your icon and have that be like engraved in stone somewhere. Uh, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
The multiple boxes and the gradient and then
It's
two
too
different
much.
photos is like I don't know where you're going with it. It's like you just want to get a little more focus.
Okay.
So if you just imagine, because of your brand story, okay, this was on the wall of the pyramids. This is how, it's the ancient coffee
Yeah,
of the pharaohs.
I finished this all last night because I was like, you know what? I need feedback on all of it. So I'm just gonna finish it and
Yes. Well, good. You did that.
yeah.
Adjusting it, it's not going to be that hard. In fact, you're just sort of simplifying a bit, so that's a plus.
Yeah.
Don't, this eye feels like a whole other thing. It's got a different visual language. It doesn't match this. It's like it's a whole other.
I
Now,
was just not sure what to put there.
okay, well, that's where I'm saying, like, you try to think of an idea of like, what's this going to be like? Well, if this is just stone background, and you had, for instance, a sort of super simplified, linear version of the logo, just sort of engraved in stone here, and then
Hmm.
the type, and it was just kind of that one stone color. I think that would work.
Okay.
Uh,
So do you think the pink or the green?
uh, I would, you could try the green because
Mm-hmm.
it's a good contrast to your assigned color.
Okay.
The pink feels a little off-brand to me.
Okay.
Um, but you could also just do sandstone or, that kind of look.
Okay.
But you're making good progress. And remember, no black in your palette.
Okay.
This is one thing I want everyone to sort of get out of color theory. It's like question black and white. And sometimes black and white's appropriate, but you always want to like have an option. And it does change it, makes it more custom when you get rid of the black, because black's default,
Hmm.
right? All right, I hope that's helpful.
Very.
Great. All right, I'm going to keep going here with Tabitha. You're welcome to stay if you want, or you can leave. It's okay.
Okay.
Tabitha, blood orange chocolate. So I would do blood orange big and chocolate smaller, just so you have some hierarchy in your type, and much bigger in relation to the icon. You've placed your logo, and you've added some colors. This color for paper color might be okay, but you would use it there and there. This looks either cropped or shorter or something. It's a good color palette. You've got some contrasting hues, some contrasting values. So you're sort of underway, keep going. But I would straighten out your logo type a little bit first, and then think about what the secondary elements are. You could take these little leaves and turn them into a pattern, a repeating pattern, and use that pattern element somewhere in your identity package. So the way that this pattern here works. All right, Jessica, I like where your logo came out. This has more of the feeling of Bermuda tea. The monochromatic logo, I don't think that's as exciting as it could be. If you introduce the complement of purple is yellow, or if you had like a gold crown and gold edges around here, maybe that would really dress it up, make it feel more formal. These kind of wave shapes are okay. And it's okay. It's functioning. It's not super exciting branded. If you could figure out how to make a pattern brush out of this edge and then have that going across your letterhead or something, you've got some colors that are working together, but I would encourage you to break out a little bit. And these feel a bit generic, is what I'm saying, these curved shapes. And certainly just putting the two bands there feels like you're just decorating, trying to throw some things on and see how it works. You could use photography, different imagery of the pink sand of Bermuda, something like that in the background. See how that works. All right, Giovanni, Salty Dog. I gave you some feedback on the logo. I'm still not a fan of this type configuration. You've got this sort of little wave thing going on, which is nice. Maybe your color palette could expand a little bit. You've got basically this turquoise color and red. So maybe there's a little more going on, but overall it's okay. It's good. All right, Tiffany, Shaman Tea. I feel like your logo lockup is changing every time it appears. It needs to be settled and done, and it should be Shaman big, Tea small. Your icon much smaller in relation to the type. And then you've got this gradient, which goes from sort of a greenish yellow to purple. It feels like mud in the middle. I would maybe consider other options for a gradient. You could do a sunset type of gradient that might work. So just your logo lockup has to get buttoned up, and then you'll figure it out. Now, these little coffee beans or tea leaves, I guess that's what they are, tea leaves. They're just sort of like scattered around. If you want to make a pattern out of them, make them into a pattern, make them into a pattern brush or something. Yeah, so this is the dusty mountains of the Southwest. You could make it a little more dramatic. Overall, it's starting to come together, but it feels a little kind of dingy, if you see what I'm saying. So it could be brightened up a bit. All right, Jasmine, Dark Wave soap. So this is the Goth soap. You've got your logo, lockup, Dark Wave big, soap could be smaller. It feels like a lot of bright colors, and it should be more, actually should look more like this, more somber. Don't use black. I know that seems a little counterintuitive given your brand name, but try a dark purple or something. Um, so this bright pink, bright orange, and this blue just feel off brand. You wouldn't put an envelope in black. It has to be a very light color for type to go on it. These waves feel very sort of generic. I think you had other elements in your logo process that you could use, but consider a pattern or even like a texture. Maybe you have a photo of water or something like that that you could use, very sort of low contrast. Envelopes have to be light colored so that type can go on them. All right, Adam, you did a great job on this. Looks really good. This cloud element works well. It's even a sort of nice warm gray. Typically, I wouldn't be a fan of grays, but these grays you use feel very custom, very unique. You've got this wonderful dark red, and the rocket ship works. This looks like a complete brand. It's coming together. Um, the only question, maybe not white paper, but even if you left it like this, you're in really good shape. So good job. All right. I think I've covered everybody. I will be back on tomorrow to give another critique for anybody who's late. And I look forward to seeing your work.